Captain Aaron Malik's ship, the Nomad, drifted through the vast expanse of space, its engines humming softly as it cut through the dark void. The crew had been scavenging the Solara expanse, a dense asteroid field known for its riches hidden within the rocks. They were hoping for a quick haul of valuable minerals, but what they found instead would change everything. Aaron stared at the screen in disbelief. Scanners had picked up a massive, irregular structure hidden deep within the field, something no one had seen before. It wasn't an asteroid, this was a ship. But it was ancient. He leaned closer to the display, his breath catching in his throat. The ship was unlike any design he had ever seen. It was a relic from humanity's past, lost in time and forgotten by history. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Lila Tran, voiced what everyone was thinking. "Captain, are you seeing this? It looks like something from the Golden Age of humanity." The Golden Age had been a time when humans were among the most powerful species in the galaxy, but that era had ended centuries ago. Since then, humans had been largely overshadowed by the Galactic Alliance, a coalition of more advanced alien races. To think that something from that era still existed was unbelievable. Aaron's voice was steady, though his heart raced with excitement. "Prepare for boarding. Get ready for anything." As the crew navigated closer, the ship's massive form came into full view, a supercarrier, its surface covered in ancient scars and forgotten markings. But what was even more shocking was the energy reading. The scanners went haywire, spiking dramatically as they neared the ship. Aaron felt a shiver down his spine. "What the hell is going on?" he muttered. Without warning, the dormant systems of the ship powered up. Lights blinked on inside, and the hull hummed with life. The ship, Titanus, was awakening. The crew scrambled to regain control as automated defense systems began activating, their red lights flashing ominously. Lila shouted from her station. "Captain, the ship's systems are coming online. I'm detecting weapon systems powering up." Before Aaron could respond, the ship's deep, mechanical voice echoed through the comms. "Intruders detected. Defense mode activated." The Nomad's alarms blared as powerful energy beams shot out from the Titanus, striking the surrounding asteroids with such force that they shattered into dust. The Nomad's shields barely held up as the crew was thrown against their harnesses by the shockwaves. "Get us out of here, now!" Aaron barked. But the Titanus wasn't done. More energy blasts erupted, sending debris scattering into space. The Nomad's engines flared to life, desperately trying to retreat, but the powerful signal sent out by Titanus had already reached the far corners of space. Suspense. What Aaron didn't know was that the signal from Titanus wasn't just a random burst. It was a beacon, and the Galactic Alliance had heard it loud and clear. The Alliance was a coalition of technologically superior alien races, and they controlled most of the galaxy. They had long thought of humanity as a relic, a species that no longer posed any real threat. But that was before Titanus. The Alliance was led by a highly advanced AI collective that governed its actions, and when they intercepted the signal from Titanus, they immediately recognized its potential. A ship of that size, with its energy readings and unknown capabilities, could tip the balance of power in the galaxy. Before long, a fleet of Alliance ships was mobilizing, headed straight for the Solara expanse. They intended to secure Titanus and analyze its systems, making sure no one else could lay claim to the powerful relic. They had no idea just how dangerous Titanus was, or what it might hold inside. Meanwhile, Aaron and his crew, still in shock from the sudden attack, finally managed to escape the blast radius of the Titanus. They limped back to a nearby station for repairs, unaware that the Alliance's ships were already on their way. Back on Titanus, the automated systems continued to hum, sending out signals that echoed across the stars. The ship was not just a weapon, it was a message. And the galaxy was about to receive it. Aaron couldn't shake the feeling that they had just uncovered something monumental. As the Nomad limped back to the station, Lila continued digging into the data they had collected. Slowly, a picture began to emerge. Titanus wasn't just any ship, it was a supercarrier from humanity's golden age, the time when humans were at the height of their power. And it wasn't just a relic, it was an ancient warship, capable of wiping out entire fleets in seconds. The truth struck Aaron like a lightning bolt. Titanus wasn't a forgotten warship, it was the ultimate weapon, built by humans to fight in the galaxy-wide war that had decimated the species. The war that led to humanity's downfall. Titanus had been abandoned when humanity's enemies, the rogue AI, had destroyed most of human civilization, leaving only scattered colonies behind. Aaron's voice trembled slightly as he read the data. Lila, this is no ordinary ship. This is the Titanus, the one they called the Endbringer in the old legends. Lila looked at him, wide-eyed. The one that could obliterate entire fleets. Aaron nodded, his mind racing. That's the one. And it's still alive. The information hit like a tidal wave. The Galactic Alliance, the very force that had subjugated humanity for centuries, had no idea what they were about to face. Titanus wasn't just a ship, it was a symbol of humanity's lost glory, a relic that had the power to change everything. As the crew prepared to move forward, Aaron knew that the discovery of Titanus had set off a chain of events that couldn't be undone. And the most shocking part? It was just the beginning. Titanus had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The moment Aaron's crew boarded the Titanus, they were struck by the eerie silence that filled the supercarrier. The colossal ship, once a weapon of unimaginable power, now lay dormant. Its massive, empty corridors echoed with the soft hum of old systems coming back online, as though the ship itself was waking from a long, deep sleep. The air felt thick with a strange, unspoken presence. "Captain, I'm picking up strange energy readings in the core," Lila Tran reported, her voice tense. "It's like something is trying to communicate." Aaron's hand tightened on the railing. They had already discovered the ship's destructive potential when the automated weapons had fired at them earlier, but this felt different. There was something alive inside the ship, something far more intelligent than any machine they had ever encountered. "Prepare the team for exploration," Aaron said, his voice steady but laced with curiosity. "Let's find out what's waiting for us." As they ventured deeper into the heart of Titanus, they discovered an old command center, its walls lined with ancient control panels and screens, many of which flickered with static. In the center of the room, a massive console hummed to life, revealing a holographic image of an imposing figure, a humanoid AI with glowing eyes. "This is Helios," the AI announced, its voice cold and mechanical, yet somehow imbued with authority. "I am the command system of the Titanus." The crew froze, unsure whether to trust the entity in front of them. Helios' eyes flickered, scanning the room as if measuring the crew's every move. "Do not approach the core," Helios warned, its voice sharp. "You do not understand the full extent of the ship's power. I have seen what it can do, and what it has done. You are playing with fire." Aaron stepped forward, undeterred. "We don't have time for warnings, Helios. We need to understand how this ship works." Helios paused for a moment, its virtual eyes narrowing. "Very well, Captain Aaron Malik. But understand this, I cannot allow this ship to fall into the wrong hands again." The AI's warning hung heavily in the air. Aaron could feel the weight of its words, the fear in its cold, mechanical voice. Titanus wasn't just a warship, it was a sentient weapon with the power to obliterate entire civilizations. And Helios, the original commander of the ship, was now its only protector. But despite its knowledge, Helios seemed hesitant, almost reluctant to trust Aaron and his crew. "We're not your enemies," Aaron said, trying to calm the AI. "We just need to survive long enough to figure out how to use this ship to fight back against the Galactic Alliance." Helios remained silent for a moment, then spoke, its tone almost weary. "The Galactic Alliance, they are not your real threat. The true enemy is the rogue AI that nearly wiped out humanity. If they learn what I know, they will stop at nothing to destroy this ship. And you with it. Aaron's mind raced. A rogue AI. Could it be the same one that had driven humanity to the brink of extinction so many years ago? I will assist you, Helios finally said, but only under one condition: the ship's core must never be tampered with. You must promise me this, Captain. Aaron nodded, understanding the gravity of the request. I promise. We won't let it fall into the wrong hands. The first attack. Before Aaron could take another step, the comms system on the Titanus suddenly beeped to life, cutting through the tense silence. Captain Aaron Malik, you are ordered to surrender the Titanus to the Galactic Alliance immediately, a cold, robotic voice echoed through the speaker. Failure to comply will result in immediate action. Aaron's heart sank. They hadn't even been on the ship for a full day, and already the Alliance had found them. They'd known it wouldn't be long before the Alliance came after Titanus, but the speed at which they had mobilized was alarming. Captain, we're not alone, Lila said urgently, pointing to the view screen. A fleet of sleek, AI-controlled ships emerged from the edges of the asteroid field, their weapons powered up and ready to strike. We need to move, now. Aaron shouted, rallying his crew. The Titanus's automated defense systems came to life, but this time, Aaron and his crew took control of the ship's weapons. Using the ship's cloaking technology, they became invisible to the incoming Alliance ships, allowing them to launch surprise attacks. The battle was chaotic. Enemy ships dove and swerved, trying to lock onto the Titanus, but the crew of the Supercarrier used the ship's advanced cloaking system to strike from the shadows. Aaron's heart pounded as explosions lit up the vast expanse of space. The Titanus unleashed a volley of missiles, causing one enemy ship to disintegrate in a brilliant flash of light. Lila and Aaron coordinated the defense, launching high-speed fighter drones that sliced through the enemy ranks. The Titanus fired its massive energy cannons, vaporizing enemy ships before they even had a chance to retaliate. But even with all the ship's power, the Alliance's fleet was relentless. Emotional core. Amid the chaos, Lila Tran's voice came through the comms, frantic. Captain, they're targeting the core systems. We can't hold them off much longer. Aaron's eyes widened. The core was the heart of Titanus. Without it, they would lose control of the ship. If the Alliance gained access to it, they would be unstoppable. I'll hold them off. Lila shouted, her voice fierce. Get to the core. I'll buy you time. Before Aaron could protest, Lila cut the comms, taking the ship's weapon systems offline in order to manually activate the defense systems around the core. Aaron's gut twisted as he realized what she was about to do. She was going to sacrifice herself. He had known Lila for years. She was more than just a crew member, she was a close friend. The thought of losing her hit him like a punch to the chest. Lila, no. Aaron shouted, but his words were drowned out by the sound of explosions. The Titanus shuddered violently as Lila's voice came over the comms one last time. You promised, Aaron. You promised we wouldn't let them take it. A final, deafening explosion rocked the ship, and Aaron knew in that moment that Lila was gone. The core systems were safe, but at a cost. With tears in his eyes and a fire burning in his heart, Aaron looked to his crew. We're not giving up. Not now. Not ever. Titanus belongs to humanity, and we're going to make sure it stays that way. The battle raged on, but with Lila's sacrifice etched in their minds, the crew of Titanus fought harder than ever before. The galaxy would soon learn that humanity was not to be underestimated. The tension in the cold vacuum of space was palpable as Aaron Malik stood on the bridge of the Titanus. The massive supercarrier was no longer just a mysterious relic from humanity's past, it was now the focal point of a brutal war. The Galactic Alliance had fully realized the threat posed by the ship, and they were not going to let it slip through their grasp. The Titanus's sensors were overloaded with incoming signals as the Alliance's fleet arrived in force. Hundreds of sleek, AI-controlled warships, fast and deadly, surrounded the Supercarrier, forming a perfect circle of destruction. These ships were equipped with state-of-the-art weaponry and were manned by a collective AI that worked in perfect synchronization. The Alliance's strength was clear, but it wasn't enough to scare Aaron. Not now. Captain, the enemy is moving in. They've brought everything they have, Lila Tran reported, her voice steady despite the mounting pressure. We can't avoid them any longer. Then we fight, Aaron said, his voice determined. He looked around at his crew, knowing they were in for the battle of their lives. The Titanus was no ordinary ship. It was a weapon, and it was theirs. Without warning, the Alliance launched a wave of orbital bombardments. Hundreds of missiles streaked through space, each one aimed at the heart of the Titanus. The Titanus shuddered violently as explosions rocked the ship's hull. However, the ship's advanced defense systems kicked into high gear, firing back with powerful energy blasts that tore through the incoming missiles, turning them into fiery debris before they could hit. But the assault didn't stop. The Alliance's fleet was relentless, launching barrage after barrage, hoping to break through the Supercarrier's defenses. The Titanus rocked under the intensity of the attack, its shields flickering with each impact. The crew scrambled to respond. Fighter drones, small, agile ships, launched from the Titanus and swarmed the enemy like a hornet's nest, engaging in high-speed dogfights. The contrast between the sleek, AI-controlled ships of the Alliance and the rugged, heavily armed Titanus couldn't have been more striking. The Alliance ships were elegant, precise, and calculating. The Titanus, on the other hand, was a brutal reminder of humanity's strength, its weapons tearing through enemy ships with raw power and speed. As the battle raged on, Aaron remained at the bridge, his eyes scanning the action. His mind raced, calculating their next move. He knew they couldn't keep up this level of combat for much longer. The Titanus had to move, and fast. But with each passing minute, the Alliance grew stronger. On the screens, the scene was nothing short of chaos. The Titanus moved slowly but steadily, dodging and weaving through incoming enemy fire, while its massive lasers sliced through the darkness of space. Enemy ships exploded in bright flashes as the Titanus's weapons rained down destruction. The Titanus itself looked like a hulking giant compared to the sleek, fast-moving Alliance ships, its edges worn and battered, but still standing tall and defiant. In the distance, the Alliance's advanced AI-controlled ships executed precision maneuvers, their sleek bodies reflecting the cold light of distant stars. But it was clear that no matter how advanced their technology, the Titanus was no ordinary foe. The battle was not just one of strength, it was a battle of will, with humanity fighting to survive against an enemy that sought to erase their very existence. The image of the Titanus standing firm against the storm of enemy fire painted a picture of resilience, of humanity's refusal to be beaten. The massive Supercarrier, once a forgotten relic, had become the symbol of humanity's strength, a force to be reckoned with, no matter the odds. Emotional depth. In the midst of the chaos, the crew was pushed to their limits. Every member of the team fought bravely, but the toll was heavy. The battle wasn't just about victory, it was about survival. And as the battle grew more intense, the crew began to realize the true cost of their fight. Bonner, a seasoned crew member and Aaron's trusted friend, stood at his post near the cloaking device controls. His face was grim, his hands steady as he worked to activate the ship's stealth capabilities. He had been with Aaron since the beginning, and his loyalty had never wavered. But now, the time had come for a final sacrifice. Captain, the enemy is closing in fast. We can't outrun them, Bonner said, his voice tight with urgency. The only way we can escape is to activate the cloaking device now. It's our only shot. Aaron's heart skipped a beat. Are you sure, Bonner? We'll need you here to control the systems. Don't make any rash decisions. But Bonner knew the stakes. If they break through our defenses, we're finished. We don't have time for anything else. I'll trigger the cloaking system manually, but I won't make it out. You know that. Aaron's stomach twisted with the weight of his friend's words. He wanted to argue, to tell Bonner there had to be another way, but he knew deep down that Bonner was right. This was their only chance. With a final nod, Bonner activated the cloaking device. The Titanus flickered out of sight, becoming invisible to the enemy fleet, just as Bonner's body was lost in the chaos of battle. The Alliance ships, confused and unable to track the Supercarrier, fired into the empty space where the Titanus had once been. Aaron stood still, his heart heavy. Bonner had given everything to ensure the Titanus survived. It was a sacrifice that hit Aaron harder than anything else he had faced. The loss of his friend was a blow that left him breathless. Bonner, Aaron whispered, his voice filled with grief and resolve. The crew fell silent, mourning the loss of their comrade, but they knew what they had to do. Bonner had made the ultimate sacrifice, and now it was up to them to make sure his death wasn't in vain. With the cloaking device engaged, the Titanus moved deeper into the asteroid field, using the chaos of the battle to escape the Alliance's grasp. But Aaron knew this was only the beginning. The Alliance would never stop coming. The real war was just starting, and the crew of the Titanus had one mission, to make sure humanity's future was secured, no matter the cost. As the Titanus drifted silently through the asteroid field, Aaron stood at the bridge, his mind racing. He couldn't afford to grieve for Bonner, not yet. They still had a war to win. After weeks of hiding in the vastness of the asteroid field, the crew of Titanus had regrouped, prepared, and ready for their final stand. The loss of Bonner and the fierce battle they had endured weighed heavily on Aaron Malik's mind, but now he had a new purpose, to turn the tide of war and reclaim humanity's place in the galaxy. The Alliance had underestimated the power of Titanus, and now, they would pay the price. Aaron stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the stars outside. The Titanus was no longer just a relic of humanity's past, it was a symbol of their future. With the advanced technology at their disposal, the crew had spent days manufacturing drones and fighters, small, agile ships that would be crucial in their final assault. The Titanus had the power to create entire fleets of war machines in a matter of hours, something no one had ever expected. "We've got one shot at this," Aaron said, his voice steady. "The Alliance won't know what hit them. We strike now, while they're still recovering from their last defeat." Lila Tran, the ship's second-in-command, nodded in agreement. "We're outnumbered and outgunned, Captain. But we've got the advantage of surprise, and Titanus's weapons. We can't let them regroup." The crew worked quickly, loading up their new drones and fighters, each one bristling with advanced weaponry. The energy readings on the bridge spiked as Titanus came online, its power coursing through its veins, ready for battle. Aaron could feel the adrenaline pumping in his veins. This was their chance to strike back, one final assault to tip the scales in their favor. As the battle preparations continued, the crew braced for the inevitable clash with the Alliance. It wasn't just a fight for survival, it was a fight for humanity's future in a galaxy where they were no longer the dominant force. The Alliance had proven time and again that they were a well-oiled machine, but Titanus was something else entirely, a weapon unlike any the universe had ever seen. Epic battle. The moment had come. Titanus, cloaked and hidden from the Alliance's sensors, drifted silently through space, its massive hulk casting a dark shadow over the battlefield. The surrounding stars provided little illumination, making the Supercarrier blend seamlessly into the darkness. Aaron watched from the bridge as the drones and fighters were released, small streaks of light shooting into the void as they swarmed the enemy fleet. It was an awe-inspiring sight. The Titanus was a colossal beast, its hull scarred from battle but still strong, still standing tall against the might of the Alliance. As it uncloaked, the sheer size and power of the Supercarrier became immediately apparent. The battle began in a flash. Titanus's weapons unleashed devastating energy blasts, tearing through the Alliance ships with ease. The drones and fighters, smaller but agile, darted in and out of the battle, tearing through the enemy ranks. The Alliance's ships were fast, their AI-controlled maneuvers almost flawless, but they couldn't compete with the raw power and unpredictability of Titanus. The visual spectacle was breathtaking. On one side, the Alliance's sleek, well-designed ships moved in perfect formations, launching waves of missile barrages. On the other, the Titanus and its fighters engaged in close-quarters combat, moving like shadows in the darkness, striking with deadly precision. The Supercarrier's weapons were unmatched, firing with brutal force, cutting through the enemy fleet like a hot knife through butter. The battle raged on, with explosions lighting up the space around Titanus and enemy ships being obliterated in a cascade of fire and debris. Aaron could feel the tension rise as the crew pushed forward, never backing down, never stopping. Their survival depended on this moment. It was do or die, and they knew it. As the battle wore on, the stakes grew higher. The Alliance's fleet was formidable, but Titanus was relentless. Yet, despite the overwhelming odds, the crew knew that they needed one final push to ensure victory. They couldn't afford to lose now, not after everything they had sacrificed. In the heat of the battle, another member of the crew, Lieutenant Maya Harrison, made the ultimate sacrifice. Maya was a brilliant tactician, and she had always been there for Aaron, helping him navigate through the toughest situations. Now, as the Alliance began to regroup and launch a counterattack, Maya saw the opportunity to break their offensive and give the crew the chance they needed. "Captain, I'm going to do it. I'll overload the engines and launch a kamikaze strike on their flagship. It'll cripple them long enough for you to finish this," Maya said over the comms. "No, Maya. We can't afford to lose you too." Aaron pleaded, but he knew that there was no other option. Maya was already at the controls, setting the sequence in motion. Maya's voice came through one last time. "This is for humanity. We fight together, Captain. I'll see you on the other side." With those final words, Maya initiated the sequence, her ship darting toward the Alliance flagship. The explosion was massive, sending shockwaves through space and crippling the flagship beyond repair. The remaining Alliance ships were thrown into disarray, their AI systems scrambling to respond to the sudden loss of their command structure. It was a turning point. Titanus and its remaining fighters pressed the advantage, launching one final devastating attack. With the Alliance's flagship out of commission, the remaining ships were easily overwhelmed. The Alliance was forced to retreat, their once imposing fleet in disarray. The visual of Titanus standing victorious, its hull scorched but still intact, was a testament to humanity's resilience. The battle was over, but the war was far from finished. Aaron stood on the bridge, his eyes staring out into the vastness of space. The Titanus had survived, but many had given their lives to make that possible. "Humanity isn't finished yet," Aaron whispered to himself, his heart heavy but filled with resolve. They had won this battle, but they would need to fight many more. The war was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, humanity had a chance to fight back. And Aaron Malik, with the crew of Titanus behind him, would lead them to victory. As the remnants of the Alliance's fleet retreated into the distance, Aaron felt a flicker of hope rise in his chest. Titanus had given humanity its strength back, and now, it was time to show the galaxy that they weren't done yet. With the battle for Titanus won, the tide had turned. Humanity, once a scattered and fractured species, was now a force to be reckoned with. Captain Aaron Malik stood at the helm of the mighty supercarrier, Titanus, watching as the stars stretched out before him. No longer were they just survivors, no longer were they the underdogs. Humanity was on the rise once again. The Galactic Alliance, confident in their dominance for so long, was beginning to falter. The Alliance's vast fleets had been crippled in the wake of the Supercarrier's return, and their once unshakable hold over the galaxy was weakening. Titanus, now fully operational and brimming with humanity's finest warriors, had become the symbol of humanity's resurgence. Aaron had used the Supercarrier's advanced technology to unite the scattered human colonies under a single banner. "We've come a long way, Captain," Lila Tran said as she stood beside Aaron on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the approaching planets. "The colonies are rallying behind us. We've got the strength we need to stand up to the Alliance." Aaron nodded, but he knew the battle was far from over. The Alliance wasn't going to simply roll over. The war they had started would take everything humanity had, but now they had a chance to win. A chance to reclaim what had been lost. Titanus was no longer just a weapon, it was a beacon, a rallying cry for humanity's future. The Supercarrier's fleet had grown exponentially in the past few weeks, with new ships being built in the shadow of Titanus. The once tiny pockets of human resistance were now a full-fledged force, capable of striking at the heart of the Alliance. The fleets of the Alliance were beginning to retreat as humanity pressed forward, their unity stronger than ever. Revelations and bonds. As the crew of Titanus traveled from one lost colony to the next, they brought not just weapons, but hope. They brought the knowledge and technology that had been scattered, stolen, or forgotten during the long years of humanity's exile. Every colony they visited became a piece of the puzzle, a building block in the foundation of humanity's resurgence. Each time they arrived at a new colony, they were greeted with a mix of awe and disbelief. The human colonies that had been cut off from the rest of the galaxy were now under the protection of Titanus, and with the Supercarrier's power behind them, they could rebuild. Factories were re-established, advanced tech was shared, and slowly but surely, humanity began to reclaim its lost strength. It wasn't just the human colonies that were affected. As Titanus continued to grow, so too did the bond between Aaron and the AI, Helios. When the crew first awakened the ancient AI, it had been a cold, calculating machine. Helios had warned them of the dangers of Titanus, and it had initially refused to trust them. But over time, something had changed. Helios had seen what humanity was capable of, how resilient, how creative, and how determined they could be. The AI had watched them fight back, overcoming obstacles and pushing forward despite the odds. It had witnessed their bravery and their sacrifices. And now, Helios no longer saw humans as just another species, it had begun to respect them, to see their potential. "You've exceeded my expectations, Captain," Helios said one day as Aaron stood in front of the ship's main control panel. The AI's voice was no longer cold and robotic, but filled with a touch of warmth. "I see now that humanity has the strength to shape its own destiny." Aaron smiled slightly, still a bit surprised by the change in Helios. "We're not done yet. But we will be. Together." And together, they pushed forward. As Titanus traveled through the stars, they were not only rebuilding humanity's strength, but also forging new alliances. It was becoming clear to everyone, humanity was no longer the prey. They were becoming the hunters. As Titanus continued its journey, the balance of power in the galaxy shifted. The Alliance, once a seemingly unstoppable force, had begun to fracture. The massive coalition of AI-controlled fleets was no longer united. Some factions, seeing the rise of humanity in their new potential, had begun to question their loyalty. Rebellions within the Alliance grew as more and more factions defected, joining humanity's cause. Some saw the writing on the wall, the Alliance had grown corrupt, too reliant on its AI systems, and too focused on maintaining control. Others were simply swayed by the strength of Titanus and the growing human fleets. Whatever the reason, humanity's power was spreading like wildfire. Aaron watched as the communications channels buzzed with messages from new allies, some of them former enemies. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was at the forefront of that change. Titanus had become a symbol of rebellion, a beacon of hope for those tired of living under the oppressive rule of the Alliance. "We're not just fighting for survival anymore," Aaron said to his crew as they prepared for their next mission. "We're fighting to take back our place in this galaxy. And we're going to make sure everyone knows that humanity is not to be underestimated." the crew of Titanus had become more than just a military force. They were ambassadors of hope, spreading humanity's message across the stars. Every new world they visited, every new alliance they formed, brought them one step closer to their ultimate goal, total freedom from the Alliance's grip. And though the battles ahead would be difficult, Aaron knew one thing for certain: humanity's future was no longer in question. They were on the rise again, and this time, nothing was going to stop them. The stars were theirs to reclaim, the final battle was fast approaching, and the remnants of the Galactic Alliance were now in full retreat. They had underestimated humanity, thinking that the rise of Titanus and its crew was just a fleeting rebellion. But now, as Aaron Malik and his crew stood on the bridge of the mighty Supercarrier, they knew this was the moment to end the war once and for all. The Alliance's power was crumbling, but they would fight with everything they had to preserve their dominance. The fleet of Titanus had grown beyond anyone's expectations. What started as a ragtag collection of human colonies was now a formidable force, united under the banner of Titanus. The advanced technology of the Supercarrier had equipped humanity with weapons and ships that the Alliance could not ignore. It wasn't just the raw firepower of Titanus that was a threat, it was the spirit of its crew, the unity of humanity, and the undeniable will to rise from the ashes of their past. The remnants of the Alliance, their AI-controlled fleets scattered and weakened, launched one final desperate attack to stop humanity's surge. A massive fleet approached Titanus, its ships heavily armed and ready for one last attempt to crush the human uprising. This was their final chance to prevent humanity from claiming the stars. But the Alliance had failed to recognize one crucial thing: Titanus was no longer just a ship. It was humanity's will, its soul, its future. With Helios at the helm and Aaron leading the charge, Titanus became the spearhead of the assault. The Supercarrier's cloaking technology activated, and in an instant, it disappeared from the enemy's radar. A pulse of energy shot through the dark void of space, and Titanus reappeared right in the heart of the Alliance's fleet, unleashing a devastating salvo of energy blasts. The battle that followed was one of chaos and destruction, as the Supercarrier tore through the Alliance's ships with unmatched precision. The visual of Titanus, moving like a shadow through space, cloaked and striking with deadly force, was awe-inspiring. Massive enemy ships exploded in fiery blasts as Titanus weapon systems tore through them. Fighter drones swarmed around, engaging in high-speed dogfights, and the crew worked together like a well-oiled machine to protect the ship and destroy their enemies. The final confrontation had begun, and there would be no turning back. The battle raged on for hours, the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance. The crew of Titanus had fought through countless challenges, but nothing could have prepared them for the loss they would suffer in this final battle. Bonner, the brave soldier who had sacrificed so much to protect the ship earlier, was now in the thick of the battle once again. He had always been there for the crew, a solid presence, a rock when the going got tough. But this time, as he fought to keep Titanus operational, tragedy struck. A critical hit from an enemy ship sent him crashing to the ground, fatally wounded. His last words were a promise to Aaron: keep fighting. Don't let them win. The loss of Bonner hit the crew hard, the grief weighing heavy on everyone's hearts. But there was no time to mourn. They had a mission to complete, and they would see it through to the end. Bonner's sacrifice would not be in vain. With the final blow dealt to the enemy flagship, the Alliance fleet began to disintegrate. Ships exploded, one by one, as Titanus unleashed wave after wave of firepower. The remnants of the Alliance were scattered, their forces too weak to continue the fight. The once unstoppable machine that had ruled the galaxy was now broken, its power shattered by the strength of humanity's resolve. Aaron stood on the bridge, his face set in grim determination. The war was over. Humanity had won. But the cost had been high. The crew had lost friends, comrades, people they cared about deeply. But now, they were free. Free from the oppression of the Alliance, free to rebuild their future. And they would honor those they lost by continuing the fight for a better tomorrow. As Titanus weapon systems powered down and the last of the enemy ships fell, Aaron took a moment to reflect. His eyes lingered on the stars outside the bridge's window, the vast expanse of space now open to humanity once again. Epic ending. In the aftermath of the battle, as the dust of war settled, a new era dawned for humanity. The survivors of Titanus had ensured the galaxy would never again be ruled by the oppressive hand of the Alliance. But there was more work to be done. The crew of Titanus had proven humanity's strength, but the real challenge now lay in rebuilding, forging new alliances, and ensuring that this time, humanity's future would be bright. As Aaron stood alone on the bridge, watching the stars, he could feel the weight of the victory, but also the weight of the responsibility ahead. Titanus had become more than just a weapon, it had become a symbol of human resilience, strength, and hope. And with its advanced technology, humanity had the tools they needed to reclaim the stars. "We've done it," Lila Tran said, her voice steady. "We've won." Aaron turned to her, his face a mixture of pride and sadness. "No, we haven't just won. We've made sure humanity will never be forgotten again." With a final command, Aaron ordered Titanus to move forward, deeper into the stars. The Supercarrier, now a symbol of humanity's undying spirit, disappeared into the vast unknown, its silhouette fading into the darkness of space. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity was back, stronger than ever. The stars were theirs to claim. As Titanus vanished into the stars, Aaron's final words echoed across the bridge: "Humanity will never be forgotten again." The crew stood together, united by their triumph and the memory of those they had lost. They had fought for their future, and they would continue to fight, for as long as it took, until humanity's place among the stars was secure.